What's up? So in this video, I'm going to go over 30 of my predictions for what I think will happen and be in Tears of the Kingdom. So a lot of these theories are ideas or theories I came up with myself, or some I found online like in YouTube videos or podcasts and I agree with. And also, by the way, light spoiler warning, I will mention the leaked art book, so if you want to avoid spoilers, maybe click off, but there's nothing super revealing in the art book, but I do use some of the things in the art book to justify some of my predictions. So, anyways, let's get into my predictions. So, first of all, number 1. So, I think that the Tears of the Kingdom refer to the sadness of Hyrule when Zelda dies, but really she doesn't die, but she's taken away and she's underground, and then Link needs to adventure underground to find her. So, we've seen Link underground in the 2019 trailer, and then in another trailer it looked like Zelda was falling, plus I've heard leaks and rumors that Tears of the Kingdom would have underground exploration. Also, Nintendo initially said they didn't want to reveal the title of the sequel to Breath of the Wild because apparently it was a spoiler, and since they've revealed the title, of course, it's Tears of the Kingdom, but nobody else has said anything about that, so it must have some important part of the story, and it's very likely this happens early on because it wouldn't make any sense for it to happen way later because that's the title of the game. And my best guess is Zelda gets taken away or gets captured, and the adventure is to save Zelda by traveling underground and through the Sky Islands to find her and rescue her. Prediction number 2. So, the Tears of the Kingdom are also a physical item you can collect, and these are somehow used to defeat Ganon and restore Hyrule. You can actually see a green tear on the ground in the 2021 teaser trailer at 049. And the Tears of the Kingdom will also be used to repair the Master Sword, and the more you have, the more dungeons you've completed by the end of the main game, the easier the boss fight will be, just like with the Divine Beast in Breath of the Wild. And it's also possible the tears will give Link more abilities and make his arm more powerful. It seems like there will be 7 tears to collect from what I've heard, 1 for each dungeon, if there are dungeons. Prediction number 3. We'll still be able to buy and find different types of arrows, but we can also fuse materials with arrows to make those existing arrows along with some new fuse exclusive arrows, such as the new homing arrows. I think it's possible different types of arrows might not be purchasable anymore, but it could get a bit annoying having to fuse the arrows each time, so maybe they'll keep the base arrows in the game to find or buy, just like Breath of the Wild. Anyways, here's some of my predictions for arrows that we might be able to make using the fuse ability. So, white choo-choo jelly plus an arrow makes an ice arrow. This has been confirmed already. Red choo-choo jelly fused with an arrow equals a fire arrow. And then yellow choo-choo jelly with an arrow makes a shock arrow. So since the fused ice arrow was confirmed in the gameplay demonstration, it's very possible we can use other types of choo-choo jelly to make arrows like with the ice arrow, but with fire and electric. And then ancient materials plus arrow equals an ancient arrow. So I'm not sure if the ancient labs will return, but if there are ancient materials, then we can probably fuse them with arrows to, of course, make ancient arrows. We might not be able to do this since you'd had to buy them with rupees, and maybe they'd be too overpowered to be able to make a bunch by fusing, but who knows, it's possible. And then another confirmed one, the Keys Eyeball plus an arrow makes a homing arrow. This was confirmed. We know that monster parts are fusible. It's very likely different monster parts will have different effects on the fused arrows. And then Zonai materials plus an arrow equals a Zonai arrow. So just like with the ancient arrows, there's a rival of Zonai materials in this game, and we'll be able to make Zonai arrows to instantly defeat constructs by shooting them in the eye with a Zonai arrow, just like with ancient arrows and Guardians. Next one, Puff Shroom plus an arrow equals a Puff Shroom or a stealth arrow. Like, you can blind enemies with smoke, so just like with the Puff Shroom shield we saw in the gameplay demonstration, we could probably fuse it with an arrow as well, and then when you shoot it, it lands, it'll make a big puff of smoke to blind the enemies temporarily. And then, blue choo-choo jelly plus arrow equals water arrow, so I thought, we have fire arrows, right? And the white choo-choo jelly made ice arrows, so why couldn't we have water arrows as well? Fuse the normal or the blue choo-choo jelly with an arrow to make water arrows. The next one, various monster parts such as different monster guts plus an arrow equals a poison arrow. So I came up with this one, and I thought since we see the Keys Eyeball make a homing arrow, it's very likely other monster parts will make special kinds of arrows too. These could be some sort of new arrows. I have no idea what they could be, but for now I guess maybe monster parts like guts, they could make a poison arrow, and it would slowly lower an enemy's health over time. Next thing, so leaf plus an arrow equals it'll make any arrow with a leaf travel farther and faster. So we did see a leaf arrow, a leaf being fused with an arrow in the gameplay demonstration. I don't really know what this does, but I'm just guessing it makes it travel farther and or faster. And then another arrow I came up with, so combining ore with an arrow equals a heavy arrow, so this would do more damage to large enemies. So I thought if you could fuse an ore to an arrow, then it would travel slower and not as far, but you could do a lot more damage to larger enemies. Then the next one is the bomb arrow. I'm not actually sure what you would fuse to make this, but I'm sure bomb arrows will return. I can't really think of what we would be able to fuse to make bomb arrows, but they might introduce some new materials, or we might just be able to pick them up like in Breath of the Wild. And then the infamous meat arrow that everyone has been talking about. So fusing meat to an arrow will probably just make an arrow with, well, meat on it. You can shoot it and it'll probably distract enemies. They'll run off, try to eat the meat, and you can defeat them. And then finally, last arrow I came up with. So the coarser bee honey plus an arrow equals like a beehive arrow. So basically shoot an arrow with a beehive attached to it to a group of enemies. The bees will swarm them. So yeah, you could just attach that to an arrow, and then the bees would freak out and attack all the enemies and damage them. Prediction number 4. So I think dungeons will return, but along with shrines, but possibly in a new different form. So there is a page in a leaked art book with a ceiling. It looks like it could be from a shrine or dungeon. As well in the art book, there's something that looks like it could be a sky temple, and this could be part of a dungeon. And it seems likely that shrines or dungeons would be designed around the new fuse abilities. Some puzzles might need the use of fusing certain items together to do something. And anyways, I just think it's very likely they bring back dungeons just to appease the fans, because lots of people have been asking for it. They'll probably have a mix of large dungeons and then smaller shrines. And in the gameplay demonstration on the map, we've seen icons that look like either caves or some new type of shrine, like the green spiral structures we've seen. And there's also an icon on the map. It's blue. It's like the shrine icons, but it looks a bit different. This could be a shrine or dungeon, and once you complete it, you can use it as a fast travel point. Prediction number 5. So we'll discover the history of the Zonai tribe, possibly with flashbacks, and this will heavily involve the Sky Islands and the underground. So there's lots of references to the Zonai and what we've seen so far. So the constructs, they drop an item called the Zonai Charge, and this confirms everything that's Zonai related has a color scheme of green, orange, and yellow. And then from the art book, we also see Link will be able to get Zonai armor and wear it. And there's lots of enemies and objects and things we've seen so far that have that color scheme, so it will definitely play a large part in the story of the game. Plus, there is a lot of evidence in Breath of the Wild that there is an ancient Zonai tribe. There's buildings and ruins that are related to the Zonai, and then Link's new abilities in Tears of the Kingdom are very likely related to the ancient Zonai technology. And it is possible the Zonai used the underground caves to traverse, and we'll get to explore underground and possibly find people or things from the Zonai tribe in the underground cave systems. So number 6, we'll be able to rebuild buildings and villages and fix up Hyrule by the end of the game. And maybe at the end of the game, when Ganon is defeated, we'll be able to just explore Hyrule and do quests for villagers without the threat of Ganon. So at the end of the Breath of the Wild, it seemed like they wanted to fix up Hyrule and rebuild, but Ganon came back and monsters started attacking again, so the construction stopped. And in the gameplay demonstration, we can see that there are construction plots that are unbuilt, and we'll either have to build these ourselves or convince NPCs to build them. So hopefully in Tears of the Kingdom, we'll get to see Hyrule in a more complete state at some point, and since there are lots of ruins in Breath of the Wild, and we saw some sort of plots several times in the gameplay demonstration with materials around them, it's very likely we'll be able to interact with these and rebuild Hyrule. So number 7. So the green spirals that we've seen in the gameplay demonstration, these are shrine replacements, and they act as fast travel as well. So we see these quite a lot in the trailers and even the art book as well. It's very possible these could be the new shrines. Instead of being something we can enter, the scrolls could possibly teleport you up to another world, and then when you complete it, you come back down and those become teleportation spots. Or they might just transport you up to the Sky Islands, and it's just another method of getting up there. So on page 79 of the art book, the structure that usually has green spirals around it, as I was just talking about, it's in there and has a large door, so it's very likely we'll be able to enter these just like shrines. Number 8. There will be more powerful and larger versions of the constructs that will act similar to Guardians. There is something at 037 in the 2021 teaser. This resembles the constructs, has a similar color scheme, so it could be this or it could be something else, but it would make sense to have something more powerful since these seem to act similarly to the Guardians, but not as powerful. So at the very end of the game, Ganon will be completely defeated with a very intense and epic war with a struggle to defeat Ganon, who is now much more powerful, and then Ganon will die permanently and he will be replaced with the new, more powerful enemy in the future. Number 10. Everything with the green glow is connected to the Zonai tribe. So just like in Breath of the Wild, there were many blue glowing things, and these are all connected to the ancient tribe. And the color green in the Zonai tribe, these will of course play a very large part in this game. Just like I said earlier, the story will be very centered around the Zonai in some way. Number 11, Korok seeds, these will return, but instead of just finding lots of them all over the world, there will be less of them, but you have to do more to actually get the Korok seeds and be able to expand your inventory more. So we do see a Korok in the recent gameplay demonstration that says, I need to reach my friend, so maybe Koroks, they will give out mini quests for us to do in order to acquire the Korok seeds, or these could be replaced by a new collectible as well. Number 12. So we will be able to tame and take control of dragons to ride them up through the Sky Islands and through the skies of Hyrule. So Aonuma does say there are lots of ways to reach the Sky Islands, and just when he's saying that, there is a dragon flying through the sky, so this could possibly hint that we could ride a dragon, get up to the Sky Islands. Number 13. So all enemies will be able to pick up weapons and materials and fuse them. These will make battles with enemies much more unique. Every time they will have different types of weapons and methods to attack with. So we do see the constructs in the gameplay demonstration. These have some different fused weapons like sticks, and then the construct has a large door on a stick and then knocks Link off the Sky Islands, and maybe enemies will be able to pick up objects and fuse them to make weapons, or they could just spawn with certain randomized fused weapons. Either way, this makes combat much more interesting. Prediction number 14. So there will be a large underground cave system to explore. So in the first look trailer, we see what's an area underground with some enemy camps. And then Link also runs from a Hinox at 103 in that trailer. In the art book on page 14, Link and Zelda, they're in a building. It looks to be underground. This could either be exploring underground ruins or possibly a dungeon. And then pages 117, 126 in the art book, Link and Zelda, they seem to be exploring a cave underground, very similar to the first trailer, as I said before. And then since Zonai seem to play a large part in this game, they will apparently have a connection to the underground, and will probably go underground, and there will be an underground civilization and towns, possibly, and caves to explore. Number 15. Malice will come back in this game, and will spread throughout the world as Ganon increases in power. So, yeah, we see Malice again in Tears of the Kingdom. It can be seen in-game, on official art of the cover, around Hyrule Castle and Death Mountain, along various other places, and in the E3 2021 trailer, we do see Malice clinging to Link's arm, which causes him to lose a Master Sword, and this could be why his arm is damaged, and why the Master Sword seems to be decaying. Malice seems to be acting a bit different in this game. The Malice lifts a castle into the sky, and this suggests the Malice now is much stronger than before, and Malice also acts alive, more than just an obstacle. It acts lifelike, and we can see it hunting down a rat in one of the trailers. Malice definitely is much more evil and violent in this game. This really reminds me of the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things, actually. So maybe the Malice will be able to possess enemies and characters. This could be like a super weapon for Ganon, who would be like Vecna in Stranger Things. And Ganon could control everything from afar, and Link has to track him down and defeat the Malice in order to defeat Ganon, just like with Stranger Things in the recent Season 4. Great show, by the way, but anyways. Number 16. The towers with the bright white light shining from them. We've seen these several times in the trailer, and these will be the replacement for the current towers in Breath of the Wild, and they'll probably serve a similar purpose, but they'll be different in some way, which I'm not really sure how, but yeah. Number 17. So DLC will be released for Tears of the Kingdom about 6 months after it releases. I'm very sure we'll get DLC for the game since Breath of the Wild did, and that was very successful, and they might reveal it slightly before launch, but more likely they'll wait until like a few months after the game comes out. And then about 6 months, maybe up to like a year later, we'll get DLC. And this probably will be in 2 waves, as I said, just like Breath of the Wild. And this could coincide with a patch for the Switch 2 that would make the game run better and in higher resolution. Number 18. So we'll be able to upgrade the recall ability to reverse the course of enemies. Just like you could upgrade stasis in Breath of the Wild, be able to freeze enemies, you can probably upgrade all the new abilities in Tears of the Kingdom, and it would make sense that recall can be upgraded from reversing time on just objects to be able to do the same with enemies. So number 19, food and cooking, they will still be in this game, but you can't just eat while actively in combat, climbing, or gliding, or similar actions like that. So the up button on the D-pad is now used for food and materials, and this is probably to make it easier to fuse things, but I also think that you could eat food from this menu instead of having to go to your inventory. Plus, I have heard rumors from different videos, somehow they'd make it where you cannot eat food while in a fight, and this would make it more difficult, because if you think about it, it's kind of funny how you can just be getting attacked and just like literally pause time to consume a bunch of food and regain your health, and this could end up being annoying and make the game a little more realistic, but also difficult, or possibly if Master Mode is returning, this could be a feature that's exclusive to Master Mode. Next up, number 20, so I think there will be recipes that you can discover and unlock to instantly cook a certain item with the materials you have, without having to find all the individual items. So I think this was also rumored somewhere. It would be a nice quality of life feature. You just collect recipes and be able to select them. You don't have to find all the individual ingredients in your inventory. And you could find and discover certain new recipes. There could be a screen as well that says the recipes you can currently make with the items you have in your inventory. Number 21. So we will be able to dive underwater and swim in this game, and was add a whole new layer of exploration to the world. So we'll be able to use the Ascend ability to ascend to the top of the water, and there is an animation that looks like swimming in the gameplay demonstration when Aonuma is going through the mountain, so it would make sense to be able to swim through water as well. and it could use that same animation or similar animation. And when Link hits the water in the gameplay demonstration, he's under the surface, the Ascend ability lights up, but then it fades out at the surface. So water probably counts as a ceiling, and we'd probably be able to ascend to the surface. And the reason why he doesn't instantly dive is because the lake's very shallow, so he'd probably be able to only swim in deeper areas, or he'd need some sort of item or piece of clothing to swim underwater, which we could get on later on in the game, just like in Breath of the Wild, to swim up waterfall. Plus, the footage in the gameplay demonstration, it seems to be early on in the game with only one heart upgrade, no stamina upgrade, so probably with more stamina or a special item or clothing, we could swim and explore underwater. And there's a page in the art book. It looks like water on top of like a ceiling, there's a far off sun, and this could be part of like an underwater dungeon or a shrine that we can reach by exploring underwater. Prediction number 22. So we will be able to fuse more than two items or objects together by fusing a fused item to another item. So you can see at 6:53 in the gameplay demonstration, it looks like a rock is fused to the already fused stick and log weapon, and we'll probably be able to fuse at least several things together by taking a new fused item and then fusing it with something else. And I've also heard that fused items have their own name and image file, so you can just put in your inventory and it counts as a new item that you can fuse with something else. Number 23. So we'll be able to combine nearly anything in this game with either Fuse or the Ultra Hand abilities. So Fuse will allow you to combine nearly any weapon and material, and then Ultra Hand will allow you to grab pretty much anything that can be moved to make vehicles and contraptions. So this will add tons of creativity and uniqueness to the game. Number 24. So we will be able to find or pick up extra fuel to give the vehicles more charge, as the fans and probably other items like maybe motors and tires, they will have a limited amount of energy. And by using fuel, it will allow you to travel further and farther with them. So at 9:09 in the gameplay demonstration, there's like a jar or something green. It's probably fuel, and this gives the car more power. Number 25. So the batteries for the fans will be upgradable to make the vehicles able to travel further. We see battery icons on the map, and when the fans are activated, there's a charge meter where they will stop when they run out of charge. So it seems to start off with very little charge, so it's very likely there will be a way to upgrade it. Number 26. Vehicles made with the Ultra Hand will be completely controllable. So at 9:09 in the gameplay demonstration, you can see there's accessories we can attach to the vehicles, and we'll be able to control the direction they go in. Instead of them just going in some direction automatically, we can just attach something to steer it wherever we want. Number 27. There will be more abilities than just the 4 we saw in the gameplay demonstration. So they don't ever show Link switching abilities, so we could definitely unlock more abilities later on in the game, so it's quite possible there will be more abilities than what we've seen so far. It's also been rumored we might be able to play as Zelda at some point, and we could use the abilities from Breath of the Wild because she has been seen with the Sheikah Slate in some official art. Number 28. So the game will not start off with Link's arm being damaged, but there will be a big event that happens where Link gets damaged, and then it will start off on the Sky Island. So we've seen footage and trailers with Link's arm being normal, and then some with his arm being damaged. So at the beginning of the game, it will start off as normal, some big event will happen, the Master Sword and his arm will get damaged by Ganon and the Malice, and he will probably have to go up to the Sky Islands early on. Then number 29, I think Great Fairy Fountains from Breath of the Wild will return in Tears of the Kingdom. In the art book on page 132, we see Link in what looks like Zonai armor, and it shows several stages of levels, so if we're able to upgrade our armor like in Breath of the Wild, it's very likely the Great Fairy Fountains will return so we can do that. Finally, number 30, final prediction, weapons will also be upgradable from the Great Fairy Fountains. So Great Fairy Fountains will also be able to upgrade melee weapons and arrows now to increase their power. Page 50 in the art book, it shows several levels of wooden clubs that are upgraded to be more powerful, so there's will be very likely to be some sort of weapon upgraded system. Anyways, so those were 30 of my predictions for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm so excited for this game, and I can't wait to play it and see which of my predictions come true. So make sure to comment down below which of my predictions you think will come true, and let me know your predictions as well. Bye, and see you in the next video.